What's going on in guys' heads?
You don't even know me.
Maybe you're hanging out with the wrong crowd.
What?
Yeah.
How long have you been married?
2.5 years now.
Oh wow, same here. How about you?
1.5.
So, I'm to the senior.
That is true.
I think there's a greater difference between a year and 2 versus 34 and 35.
I'm excited to learn from your wisdom. What's going on in guys' heads changes drastically from like age 15 to 20, and then like 20 to 25, and then 25 and beyond. And sometimes that isn't necessarily those windows, depending on like the maturity of like the guy.
Yeah, I know some people still stuck in the 15 era.
I mean, like me, but
I also feel like women who mature early, we don't mature early at all, but when we do mature, it's like a sprint. It's like suddenly 24 to 25, like there's a bunch of maturity, and then we just stagnate for the next 40 years.
Yeah.
It's been a while for me since I've been single. I've been with my fiance, my wife, for 10 years.
It's like for me, it was 4 years ago, but that's like in COVID time, so it's kind of 10 years.
How long were you with your...
Almost like 3 years since you're married, and before that we dated for almost like 5 years.
What's it like to be single?
Yeah, so I was actually very, very single before meeting my wife. So I think I have this personality that I really want to share things with people, right? So I wanted one-stop solution of one person with whom I can share everything. You know, so it was very frustrating for me when I was single.
Like things like theoretical physics?
Things like theoretical physics, though she's not theoretical physicist. Okay. She's an economist.
Wow.
Yeah, and
I haven't heard the greatest things about economists for some reason.
I don't know why.
Yeah, all these economists I keep running into in my life.
Crazy.
Maybe you're hanging out with the wrong crowd.
Yeah. By the way, what do you do?
Number go up.
So, but with my wife, though she's an economist, she's very like nerdy. If I'm doing something very random, very theoretical physics, she'll just come and ask me that what am I doing, and she'll be very interested in knowing what I'm doing. And if she doesn't understand, she'll ask me the questions, and that's from where also I sort of learned how to simplify things across domains, and we just love those discussions, and that's how we like spend a lot of time in running ideas by each other. What problems she's facing, what problems I'm facing, those kind of things we sort of run by each other a lot. And there is this, despite of this whole emotional connect, humorous connect, there's also this nerdiness connect which is sort of there between us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I actually have somebody with whom I can share all aspects of my life with.
It's interesting, like everyone's always kind of plagued by the grass is always greener. Like you're in a relationship, a lot of guys will be like, I wonder what it would be like if I was single. And then when you're single, you're like, man, I wish I was in a relationship.
Especially in the dating app world where there's that now middle ground that can last for a while.
What's the middle ground?
The middle ground is like you start sort of talking to somebody on a dating app and you've gone on a few dates, but you haven't had like the conversation.
Oh, like you're not exclusive, or you're not like you haven't given it a label.
And from what I hear about the kids these days, that stage can really be like on the order of years.
What?
Yeah.
Years?
Yeah, you should work more with younger students.
I could do that.
Yeah,
I feel like if I'm going to invest my time with someone, then I want to know that the other person is like, I'm a priority to them.
From what I gather, it's a lot of pressure to have that conversation. And in some ways, that pressure only increases over time.
Did you have a conversation with your wife at any point when from kind of flirting, courtship to like, hey, you're my girlfriend?
Not really, because our second date was like 26 hours long. And then like about a week after that, the COVID lockdown happened and we like locked down together. So
you basically imprisoned her into being...
Yeah. I actually said, babe, they're saying you can't go home. I mean, that's what they're saying on the news.
Yeah, it's not me. It's
the lockdown's been extended, actually. It's like another month. You can't even go on the street.
I've been single in short spurts in between long relationships. And I remember... the idea of being single is like always enticing. Like, oh, wow, you can have multiple partners.
Well, like which kind of single? Because there's the single of like, okay, I'm going to sort of work on me for a bit and I'm going to prioritize XYZ, or I'm single and ready to mingle.
I was single and ready to mingle whenever I was single.
So you were always perfect.
Didn't have to work on it.
No. I definitely needed to do the work, but I was like, I'll save that for the next relationship. I'll bring all my trauma and baggage and put it in the lap of my next partner, and hopefully she'll help me through it. But your wife's lucky. My wife, she's a real lucky one. Whereas a lot of guys are driven by kind of the lust. Ooh, I get to have all these multiple partners. For me, I realized like, I so much more am in it for the courtship, like to like wine and dine someone, to like take them out to dinner, to like charm them. Like that gets me off way more than the actual act. Absolutely. Like that portion of the foreplay is way more exciting and fun for me. Does that resonate with either of you, or am I just a weirdo?
Definitely. And just getting to know somebody that intensely, that quickly, also is, kind of addicting.
It is addicting. Yeah. It's a little bit of an intoxication in the eyes. Exactly. Kind of like the way you're looking at me right now. I really feel the tension.
Look away.
What was it like dating specifically in India versus in the States?
In India, when I was like dating, there are two types of datings which I did. What I mean,
there's two types.
Yes. Let me get my notebook.
One is the people whom you like sort of meet in your school, colleges. Somebody who's interested in you, maybe ask them out, or go with it. The other is like, of course, through apps. Someone who is like totally new, but that this person is there for some romantic connection, right? What I found out that though the conversations were like much better and much leading towards romantic, intent, they were not that lasting. For me personally. So I had beautiful first dates, wonderful conversations, wonderful, that, let's meet again. Just the spark didn't sort of, take it to the next level. Like, like the conversations didn't last much longer.
You're saying there's two types. Mm-hmm. I think that there's something about meeting someone organically through your community or through your network, like you're saying, or a friend's friend. There's an element of like serendipity. That connection feels divinely ordained, or like there's some other magical hand behind it. Right. Whereas when you're on a dating app, suddenly
you have a lot of control.
Suddenly the universe had no part to do with it. Now it's completely in your hands and your decision making or indecision and your analytical brain. And I wonder if like those connections, even if you hit it off with someone on the first or second date, there's some part of your brain that's like, oh yeah, but what about all those other 50, 60 girls that I swiped on? Was that like, you think a contributing factor?
I think that was a contributing factor, like from the women's side, not from my side. Because when I started dating, I was actually at a stage where I was like, I really want to feel what commitment is like, have a longer relationship with someone, share parts of my life with someone. So I was very much clear. Until the time I was not clear, I was single. I had like a very binary switch in that sense.
Do you feel like the progression of a relationship is slower or faster?
In India, I mean, definitely I faced this a lot, that either progression is like way too fast, that, chat mangni pad gaya kind of mindset where people come up with. Like I've had people whom I've like just started to talk, and then the next thing they say is, you know what, I'm going to barge in your home and tell your mom that I'm your bahu. Like people having those borderline.
That is such an ick. I don't know if this ever happened to you, but like you meet someone and like...
Oh, that happened with you? Okay, great.
They're like clearly...
Not great, but...
Oh, really?
Was it the same girl?
No. It was just way over the top right from the jump.
I've had a situation where someone was actually like really cool and we're hitting it off. And they're clearly into me, I'm into them, but them wanting to be like, so teri mummy papa se kab milwa raha hai, like that kind of vibe, and you're just like, what is it? It suddenly is so jarring, because you're just like, immediately it becomes an ick, because you're just like, do you not respect yourself enough to vet me? Like, you don't even know me. You want to jump into a marriage with me or into something serious with me? Like, that's not a good sign. It's too desperate.
Yeah, exactly. And that definitely, I shouldn't say never, but at least in my experience in the US with Western girls, never happened. And there was a idea of, okay, well, we have to put up this barrier and make it.
You have to put a label to it. You have to be someone together.
Yeah. It just I mean, life's long, and we don't need to get hitched right away.
Right.
And then the other part which I've seen is like either things are going very slow because, well, the girl is on these dating apps as well, and mummy papa bhi koi dhoond rahe hain, rishta bhi ho raha hai, and they're like talking to all these people together, and they're still like in this whole chaos, like trying to figure out who can be the best suitor for them. So that situation is also exists.
From that perspective, it starts to feel like the more and more people I go through, the easier it's going to be to find that the one, or whatever they're.
Which is funny because that is in a way what I think. But
wait a second. Oh yeah, that's right. So I don't know. Why don't you say what was your experience before you were on dating apps for a while?
I was.
He's a data science guy.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, I was very clear to know when to stop that like analytical brain, and then when you're interacting with the person and they're in the date, that's definitely not part of it whatsoever.
You were going on multiple dates a week, I'm assuming. Like I remember living in New York, and like my colleagues would have like a date every night.
Yeah.
Do you not get desensitized? Like, isn't it hard? Like I would imagine for me, if I'm meeting someone in a romantic setting 5 days a week, 4 days a week, the newness and the novelty of it fades, and you start to suddenly hone in on didn't like that, or like that vibe is off.
Well, totally. But I guess the way I would do it is I would set up, say, a date a week, and then signals would come out throughout that time that, oh, wait, vibe check failed. I'm like, actually, I have a lot of homework that I have to get to. I have this problem set due. And so
that's a sure way to make a girl look the other way.
Exactly.
I've definitely had like female friends who said that if they let the man pay for the dinner, then there's some unspoken expectation, whether it's physical after the date or whether it's just like to meet again. And so a lot of women, as a way of being like, no, like,
yeah,
I'm good. Like, this was great,
totally fair.
But this is not going to be anything romantic. Like, we can be friends. Let's split the bill, type of a thing.
Right.
Like a subtle way of nipping it in the bud as well.
Right.
But not saying that was the case with you.
I don't know what you're saying.
I believe, man picks up the tab. I love when a woman offers.
I don't know why, but I've been like really lucky that everyone whom I've been like even on a date has always split the bill with me.
Oh, really?
Always.
Oh,
like, this has happened with me like always. Because me and my wife, even till today, we are married. Even till today, we like split the bill.
Yeah.
Just for the thing of, that we are on a date together, so that kind of thing.
Nice. And I think I noticed this with a lot of guys who grew up around a lot of women. There's like a lot of conversations that were about someone's emotional well-being, and just being around those conversations, I start to be a bit more conscious of what their emotional state is and how being more receptive and picking up on body language cues, tone, and all that other stuff. I think being around women, that kind of has an impact.
I am a mama's boy, I guess. The way she carries herself, and she's retired, but is like busier than ever. And her work ethic was something that I always admired, and who can't say a bad thing about a person.
Do you feel like you looked for a lot of those similar traits in a partner?
I don't think I explicitly did, but I'm sure there is some connection.
Definitely for me, my mom is like, she's very charitable. She's very selfless. I look for that, I think, unconsciously in a partner, or at least all the partners I ended up with were very giving, very selfless.
Yeah, exactly.
What about you?
I think my wife has really helped me shape my thoughts a lot. She's really helped me in getting more in touch with my feelings, understanding how to process things, because I have this huge bunch of unprocessed emotions and trauma with me for a very long time. She does this thing very incredibly. If you are feeling something complex, how not to react at that point, and then how do you sort of, go ahead and process it and become calmer and take better decisions in life in general. I think that is something which I've like really learned a lot from observing my wife. So, and that has really changed me in a lot of ways, in terms of how I behave, how I talk, how I deal with situations, the kind of decisions which I take, the more risk-taking I've become. It is all thanks to her.
I don't know about you guys, but I didn't have many men in my life that I felt I could openly talk about my relationships with. I felt like there was some level of stigma surrounding a guy being in love and how that was seen as
Lame.
not lame, not masculine. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
sure.
and so the idea of like being like whereas now if someone's like, hey, like why don't you want to hang out, I'm like, because I want to spend time with my wife. Like I think when I was 16, you know, it would have been harder I would have to come up with some other excuse
Because you didn't have a wife to begin with.
I didn't have a wife to begin with.
That's fair.
Yeah, but at 16 I felt like I'd have to like pretend like I'm not crazy in love, which I was. And that's all, folks. Thanks for watching 3 a.m. Confessions.
Yes.
That was fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was.
We got into a lot of stuff.
The bros.
I'm getting more beer. Anyone?